Well, hello, everyone. Yay. I'm so excited about today. This is my first podcast episode with a guest speaker, which I am super jazzed about, especially today because our speaker is one of my near and dear friends who I love so much. His name is Neil Gar. I want to do an introduction and then we're going to just chat with Neil and you're going to find out all the amazing things that Neil is doing and what he's up to and how much service he's offering to the conscious community. So, Neil is the founder of Portal to Ascension. It's a conscious event production company that was created in 2008 and it hosts a wide range of presenters on a variety of topics, such as the origins of humanity, the existence of extraterrestrial life, and exposing hidden truths, as well as exploring the nature of reality. He travels the world, very exciting, facilitating gatherings that are intended to empower individuals to reclaim their sovereignty and to awaken their full potential. Neil hosts, creates, and facilitates about 70 conferences, workshops, and retreats a year. I've been so lucky and grateful to be part of that. And we're going to talk all about his work with Portal to Ascension. He's worked with over 3,000 researchers, spiritualists, scientists, conscious explorers, and more. He's a philosopher, a historian, a researcher, a spoken word artist. He presents research on all of this and more. Let's say hi to Neil Gar. Welcome so much, Neil. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Lori. It's good to be here. And I forgot that was your first podcast without just you by yourself. So I feel that I'm the perfect guest for your first interview because of our friendship.
Yes,
So
because you've had me on so many Portal to Ascension events, which are so amazing with so many brilliant light leaders and visionaries and, pathfinder, path cutters, etc. But first, tell us anything about you and how you got started. And tell us especially also, how did you get started with Portal to Ascension? What was the brilliance
sure.
behind your amazing creation?
Well, I was born in London, in England, and I was raised into a Hindu family, right? Indian Hindu family. And I used to say when I woke up in 2001 and a few years after that, I would call myself an atheist Hindu because, like a lot of Indian kids that are like first generation out of India Hindus, they just go to temple and do what their parents say, and it's just like on autopilot. Maybe that's for a lot of other religions. We're just doing what we're told is part of the culture, meeting friends there. It's a cultural thing rather than anything to do with God, like it's a community event. And so I realized later in life that I really didn't see what the end result was for that. God wasn't really a picture, even though Mandir, which is what it's called, which is temple, like our church, and Hinduism was a part of my life. And then I realized a few years ago, I shifted that perspective to realizing because I was raised Hindu, I was never told it was the only way. Okay. So I was never told that there's no other religion. In fact, when I looked a little deeper into Hinduism myself, I started realizing that the scriptures actually talks about the fact that there are other religions in the world and accepts them. Ancient times in India, they said that there will be many religions in the world because there's many different people, and we all need to be approached differently when it comes to connecting with source. Which is why in the Rig Veda it says there are many pathways to the same destination, right? And that's a quote from ancient India. So as I was being raised, we celebrated Christmas my whole life. It was one of my favorite time of year. It was the time of year my parents would forgive me for doing all the bad stuff. That it was when like everything was okay. Like Neil was naughty the rest of the year, but now it's Christmas, and we would watch like Jesus movies, we'd watch like Moses movies. So when I turned like 17 or in 99, I started seeing similarities between Jesus and Krishna, right? And like, for example, there's a reason why there's Christ at the beginning of both of their names, right? Like even in Greece, there's a guy called Christos, and they all have the same story almost. Like Virgin Mother, Carpenter Father, died with in this well, Krishna died with an arrow in the side, the same place that Jesus had a spear, right? So I was like, wait a second. I was told my whole life because I actually went to Catholic school for 1 year in England before I came here. And so we did like a lot of Bible stuff, learning about the Old and New Testament. And I was always told that polytheism and monotheism evolved separately from each other and had nothing in common. And now I'm starting to see that there's similar stories. So this was like my first revelation was, did Jesus not never exist because he was actually a remake of an older story? For a while I thought he didn't. Now I'm at a point where I believe Yeshua actually was a person as well. And so when I started seeing that, I was like, okay, well, is there a root of all religion? What's the root of it all? That was so to start my whole journey was the one question, what's the root of all religion? And as I started searching in 2018, 19 years old, I would have like the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Old Testament, reading through them simultaneously. Then I started going further and further back, and I found the Sumerian tablets of creation, the Sumerian scriptures. And now I found some source material. I found almost verbatim where the Old Testament came from and where many religions of the world took their text. So, fast forwarding that part, the main revelation here was I found the Epic of Gilgamesh in the Sumerian scriptures, and where Gilgamesh is traveling the world and he runs into Noah. And I'm like, wait a second, how come Noah is in this story? I thought that was only part of the Abrahamic religions. And so you're telling me I just found the source text for flood stories there and all over the world, and it talks about this hybrid human, half god, half human, that is Gilgamesh traveling the world that finds Noah. And then when I read even further, I see that it has verbatim text like the Elohim created us in his image and his likeness, you know? But instead of saying the Elohim, it says the gods instead of God. So the original text of the scriptures was plural and it wasn't even masculine, it was actually androgynous, right? So that was my beginning. And then, I'll stop for there. But then I got into around 8 years of just diving deep before I started Portal to Ascension.
Mm. So you were fascinated and totally like taken by all this historian relationship with religion
Yeah.
with so that's what propelled you forward. But then what was the big thing that said, I'm going to start this portal to ascension? Because when I met you, you already had been doing it. You had already started it. It just hadn't taken off in the way that it has now.
For me, it was like connecting the dots. And if I look at like my journey over those 8 years and beyond, I was always trying to figure out how we're all interconnected. And going back further and further back, the history component was like, if there's any story similar to Adam and Eve, right? And that story is way fabricated and watered down. Like that's a whole other podcast, what the truth is behind that. But if there were less people on the earth at any point, which we can probably agree, there probably was less people, and then bigger population came out of it, um, was there like one religion, one faith, one thing that connected, and they all fragmented from each other, and then other beliefs were added upon it? So as I was looking into that, with Sumerians, and then I went back to the ancient Indian texts because it was history for sure, but immediately it took me into the possibility that a lot of these gods and angels wasn't actually the god, right? But were actually beings from other worlds, other dimensions that were at higher levels of consciousness and dimensions where we perceive them as that. Even light beings saw them as that. And just having a being appear as light doesn't really mean it's the figurehead of all multiverses. And so I started looking at it from that lens. So in the first year, it was ETs and ancient history. But as I was looking at the scriptures, I was reading translations that were talking about the scriptures being metaphors for advanced quantum physics. And for example, there was like serpents that represented like basically wormholes traveling into other realities. There was a Sumerian scripture with a Sumerian giant with like a wormhole kind of thing, a DNA spiral outside of it, genetic manipulation, right? And that was one thing too, genetic manipulation from different advanced beings. So at the beginning of it all, I was fortunate enough to have like the trifecta, which is so interesting because that's what we do at Portal to Ascension is we hit up all three of those, which was the science of vibration and frequency, ancient history, and ETs. And because of the science of vibration and frequency, I started realizing that I started realizing the truth in the Hindu texts, meditation, yoga, Ayurveda, eating well, essential oils, all of that is an acoustic version of the advanced quantum physics technology. And ultimately, we're vibration, we're not solid beings. And all the things around us affect our frequency. and these beings exist at another frequency as well. So as I started learning that, as I said, I went down the rabbit hole, but it took me down to conspiracies. Like for 6 years or so, I was into following the bloodlines out of Sumer, the beings that claim to be the fallen angels, which now are the secret societies in the world, the Nephilim, right? And and it got to a scary point in my life where I just thought we're completely screwed, that they're just going to control us and take us out, depopulate the world. I was hardcore into that. And in 2008, I had a shift in consciousness where I was at a down point, and I'd already started an online group 2 years before on Facebook called 2012 Consciousness, Mind Evolution, and Presence. That was the seed of Portal to Ascension. And in 2006, 2008 was huge spiritual awakening for me. And in 2008, which seems to have happened for a lot of people in the world, was when the stock market crashed. I lost my job as a financial advisor. And so then I started going deeper into this, and I realized that I was into all these topics and they seemed very spiritual and tapped into a higher consciousness, but I'm focusing on the fear. And I shifted from thinking that this is happening to us to this is happening for us. There was a few things that happened in my life that made me believe that. And instead of having judgment towards those that I thought were doing this to us, I started shifting towards gratitude for giving us the experience of the darkness that we signed up for. And that's the same year that I changed the Facebook group to Portal to Ascension. And I had a dream to change the name to Portal to Ascension. So it was interesting. Like as soon as I was ready consciously to shift the name into what it was all about, I did. And I would say that Portal to Ascension is very much non-biased. It's a non-biased platform for all expressions of consciousness. And I believe because I have that perspective of non-judgment, even of the darkness that has done whatever they have done to this world. Not to say that we're docile towards it, right? But because of that, when I got to that point, Portal to Ascension was born, and now ever since then we started doing events. My first event was in 2008 summer, and it was a hypnosis event where my friend was doing hypnosis with binaural beats to help people release creative blocks, and then continue from there.
Mm. It's so awesome. First of all, I love what you said about the recognition that all beings are vibrational beings and that these so-called like extraterrestrials just exist at another vibrational frequency, because that's so true.
Right.
Like most humans don't really realize that. And I know even for me, when I'm channeling, if I'm bringing through, like I'll usually bring in different groups who come together as sub collectives, like and they identify as members of the fleet. So those beings who are extraterrestrial, but they call themselves star family races because they want to be generally identified as beings who serve the light. But
Mhm.
so many humans still think it's like crazy. They don't understand the realness of it, like that these are interdimensional beings. Well, I'm curious, what do you say to like the people who say it's crazy? Do you run into them? Like, I don't know.
I
Because our
used to.
are so accepting of this, you
Right,
know?
right, right. Well, I used to get into people like that, and my family every now and then when they'd know about what I was doing, I
And
had an intervention actually back in 2016. I had like an intervention with like some family members where they were telling me, and they didn't know about the ET stuff. They just knew about spiritual stuff for the most part, and they were saying you cannot work with that. You won't be able to survive. You can't generate an income doing spiritual work. So and which that was the same year I ended up doing it full time because it actually started generating some income. And then maybe like 8 years ago, if you Google me, you're gonna find all types of stuff, right? So my my dad Googled my name, and when I came back to the house one day, he just like started screaming at me and said, "What's up with all this alien stuff?" Like, and so I've had other people that I've communicated with. I used to have more people say that like they don't believe, and now because of all the declassified government documents, there's enough evidence to really prove that this is real because some of these documents are just way out there, like a document about psychic abilities and cycles of time and how we evolve and devolve from the CIA, right? So like that's something that I show people at times. But the reason why I haven't had too many people say it's crazy is because I've always been into quantum physics. So I'm able to explain in a very linear way to people vibration and frequency and connected to information that's already out there to show how there could be other worlds stacked around us and upon us that we're unable to perceive. And one of that would be the reality and the fact that every sense in our body has a limited bandwidth of frequency range. But the human predicament is we've now proven that frequencies above and below exist, right? It's not like, oh, this is all that is. We know as humans through our own science that those frequencies exist. And now we are aware that there are frequencies that we cannot even perceive, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. That's the introduction when I start talking to people about if they're everywhere, if the UFOs are everywhere, why don't we see them? Well, they phase into other realities, other dimensions, you know?
Right. I love that. I love the way you said that. I also love what you said earlier about that it's a non-judgmental platform, because it is absolutely one of your strengths, that you provide a space where so many different people with different perspectives and unique, their whatever it is that is our unique, what we're meant to bring forward, you're providing the platform that allows for so much consciousness expansion, because it's not about a particular right or wrong. It's about a particular here's it all, and use your discernment for people who want to learn more. So I love that. Well, tell us all about your travels, because that is so fun. Like, that's a lot of people want to know, like, how did you go from doing such a big, such a big leap to starting something so massive that's got people all around the world, expert speakers, authors, teachers, healers, light workers, star seeds, researchers, etc., all coming together. Like, that was a massive leap. And now you're traveling all around. Tell us about your journey with that, your traveling and all of
Yeah.
that.
So 3 years ago, I left California, and I've always loved traveling and seeing the world, and I love seeing culture and the way people exist differently. It's reassuring to me, and it fills my soul to know that the mundane of what we get stuck into our society, our system, our city, our country is just one way out of many different ways to live on the planet, right? And so I get so much joy out of just experiencing culture around the world and connecting with different people, and I have a hardcore travel bug almost to a fault, you know. I'm like, all right, I'll be here for 3 months, and then every 4 weeks I'm somewhere else, so as I'm traveling the world, I'm looking really, like, ultimately, I don't know where I want to live full time, and there's too many places in the world to choose from. So I'm traveling around to see where I find the best place for me,
Mm.
and also, hopefully, maybe one day I'll find some land as I'm traveling, and I can start building the village, a community, because that's what one of the end goals. Well, there's no real end goal, but it's one of the milestones of Portal to Ascension. Like when I had in 2008, I had like a 20-year package downloaded in one moment. And part of that was that I was going to start building communities around the world. So as I'm traveling, I'm doing that. And I'm doing a lot of healing work, really. Like, I separated from my ex-wife 3 years ago. And it's kind of like I was there for 10 years. Those whole 10 years, I worked for a future for us, you know. And then all of a sudden, that future no longer was viable or something I was working towards. And I had relied on her personality as my crutch in many ways. And now it's like, who am I on my own? Having loneliness issues a little bit, And it's like, well, if I was working towards this, what is it when I just work towards something for myself, And so as I'm exploring the world, I'm also going through those motions.
Mm. I love how authentic you're being about that. So many people experience loneliness. So many people, especially people who go through divorce or some kind of loss or separation. That's one of the core human experiences that needs to be, I call that healed and resolved, because when the energy of loneliness, it's energy, right? It's just energy in our field, and we can actually heal and resolve it so that we don't have to have that experience when we fill ourselves up with more of the light that we are.
Yeah,
But in order for that to happen, we have to be real and honest and authentic about that stuff. So thank you for sharing that. So,
yeah,
all
for
right,
sure.
so you're traveling, and now how are you doing it? I mean, people want to know, because you are
Yeah,
living the star seed light worker life,
yeah.
where, laptop lifestyle, and on a kind of a shoestring budget, I think. I don't know. How are you doing that? Just
Yeah, sometimes I have a good budget, sometimes I don't, but for the most part, I can handle and live and do whatever I want, which is great because since 2016, it's been full time for me, and so to get grounded in third dimensional reality for a moment to tell you how I do it, this is like a travel show now.
yeah,
Okay.
everybody wants to know. So I
Well,
love the travel part of it. So fun.
all right. So
Wanna
let me
know.
just tell you this. I'll just be open about the so the portal to ascension, it takes, since I have grown it so much, there's all these systems, softwares, plugins, virtual assistants in different countries, editor, video editor, graphic designer, all need to work pretty much full time. And so it costs a good amount. It costs like, around 5 to 6 thousand a month just to run portal to ascension, right? So because of that, I even have an accountant CPA I pay every year. It's like, and I have specific credit cards that I got that after like 3 to 4 thousand expenditure, I get 100 to 200,000 air miles, right? So every time, and Port Ascension is doing pretty well. We have a great credit score. So it's like every time I need to do a big payment, I get a new card. I put that on the card. I get all those air miles. I close down that card after I pay it. And now I have like 2 or 3 tickets for free to travel the world. So I've done, for example, I've been all over Asia for the last Southeast Asia for the last 3 months. And I've had like 5 plane tickets, only paid for one. I was in Europe for 6 months and I jumped to 6 different countries, only paid for one of those flights, you know? So found a way to leverage that in many ways. That's
And
partially part of the hack.
see, that's awesome. I love that. What I love
Yeah.
about what you're sharing is that we don't always realize how we can allow resource of the infinite, of the divine to support us. And you use something like, leveraging credit cards that provide travel in exchange
Mhm.
for dollars spent, but you used a resource of the 3D reality to serve and support you, but really it's the divine allowing you to have the experience, right? So it's where
Right.
you're merging like 3D and higher consciousness to make it work for you. That's a great example.
Lori, I used to think like I couldn't travel because you needed money to travel. And I just realized, like, don't forget, first of all, it's not like I don't have money, but you need a lot of money. And I'm from Orange County, California, one of the most expensive places in the US. And if, as long as I'm somewhere else in another country, it's actually way more affordable to be there. So the only thing you really need to do is just to get there.
Right. Yeah, what I love about it is that there's just so many people in the world who want to break free, do something new, do something different, break out, change from their old 3D experience, their old 3D paradigm living, and they feel like it's not, or they have some sort of beliefs that it's not possible or not available to them because they're locked
Mhm.
in some way of doing, being, behaving, thinking, whatever it is, and they don't know, they don't realize that everything's available to them at some frequency bandwidth where they open up to receive,
Yes.
accept, and allow and let it be. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even the way you like hired so many, not even, I don't even know, hired might not be the right word, but you have so many MCs, hosts. It's like the organizing. I don't even know how you've pulled it all off in such a short amount of time.
I don't know either. Okay, so I just emailed you about this 11-day summit, and here's a plug for the fact that no one knows, this is an exclusive for you, that we are creating an 11-day stream of consciousness free event in October. And, I just emailed all 80 something people I created that email, I emailed it all, and it's almost produced, and it's only been a few days,
I
so it's
love
like
that.
creating an 11-day event. I already have 6 MCs involved. So after doing this for so long, I have a relationship with people that I get an immediate response in many ways. Phone numbers, I can just text and get an answer if I don't hear back from people. And now I have my platform is created in a way where I'm able to, now I know I can turn around an 11-day event within a week and create that and put it online. So I have to be as efficient as possible when creating these events because I create so many of them and I want to keep going. So I've created the systems that are needed to basically be able to do this at a rapid rate.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay, tell us about some of the events that are coming up. You just mentioned the October one, but I know you've got like a lot planned and I know I'm involved in a couple of them. So, share about the ones that are coming up, kind of like different ones, because people will want to know, like, how can they learn about them and how can they get involved with them and participate,
Sure.
etc. Yeah.
Yes. So we're evolving every year. We evolve, and I love to create a theme for every year. And even though we talk about all topics throughout the year, there's just like a theme of the energy in the world of what's happening. So this year, in January this year, I dubbed the theme Galactic Origins, and the reason for that is because the disclosure is for the fact that we're not alone in the universe, or let's just say a reality where everybody on Earth knows that we're not alone, whether they're spiritual, whether they're awake, whether they're just like still working a 9 to 5 and hustling on that level. There's going to be a moment very soon where everybody just realizes that. That will open people's consciousness up to us eventually having open contact. And a lot of it has been coming from a military industrial complex, looking at it from a war standpoint and a fear standpoint. So I dubbed this year Galactic Origins to really start communicating about who these beings are, what the messages are, rather than staying stuck in like, oh my God, what's that in the sky? Is it China? You know what I mean? Like where a lot of the world is, and then a lot of the world, the shadowy parts of government are not at, but keep pretending that they are, so that we don't go further, right? So with that, I've got a lot of events this year exploring that. Like,
Can I say one thing too? I just want to say about
yeah,
the whole, we're not alone. If anyone ever goes through that museum, the Extraterrestrial Museum in New Mexico, where is that? I went in there.
Roswell.
Roswell. Yeah. I went there. You can't walk
Hmm.
through that museum. You cannot walk out and not say it's real. Like that
Yeah,
museum is a credible, not to divert us from what we were saying, but it's just the idea that it's not real or that it doesn't exist is almost kind of like another type of denial on planet Earth.
yeah,
It's ridiculous
exactly.
at this point. But okay,
Yeah,
so go back. So you were talking about all the different events coming up. So let's go back to that.
yeah. So with that, like I have, for example, we just did an Arcturian conference. We have we have a Palladian conference coming up this month. We have an Orion conference, which no one talks enough about Orion. That one's going to go deep. And we have a Lyran conference. So just for the theme of Galactic Origins. And then, I'm going to start from the end of the year because I'm on that theme right now. We have our cruise this year. So part of the milestone of Portal to Ascension is doing one of the largest productions ever, like full on 2,000-person cruise liner, luxury cruise liner, celebrity equinox. And we're going to have around 200 people on there with our own conference room, dedicated area to ourselves. And it's the Galactic Origins Cruise, which is galacticoriginscruise.com. And we're going to leave from Florida, go to Honduras, Belize, and a couple places in the Yucatan. And the overall theme again is Galactic Origin. So a lot of ET connection, but we're gonna have historians on there, archaeologists, spiritualists, breath work. But it will be 7 days at sea together, and we're gonna go visit amazing sites, ancient pyramids and structures. And the cool thing is, a few of the people on the cruise are people that are foremost alternative history researchers of the sites we're visiting, like JJ and Desiree. So we have firsthand account on the bigger consciousness perspective when it comes to these ancient sites. There'll be 23 speakers. There'll be musicians. It's a full-on cruise liner. You got everything you get in cruise: music, art, and then out of our segment, we're gonna have 40 different presentations going on through those 7 days as well. So it's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I'm excited
Lori is
too.
one of the people that I asked to come. I wanted to say, and you were one of the first people I thought of coming on the cruise with because of how much of a connection we have. And the fact that I said in the thing too, like I want people that I already feel as well the family connection to, so that we can not only learn, but we can have like a vacation together.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I just want to say, because I'm going to be there. So let's give them a little bit more information. It's the Galactic Origins Cruise. We'll put the link for that below. It's from Saturday, December 14th through Saturday, December 21st. And
Mhm.
it's a cruise, and we're going to be just really partying and having a wonderful time, in addition to just playing with all this really out there, not in the mainstream, kinds of information. And when we get
Definitely.
together in these circles, what I love so much in these communities is that we're sharing knowledge, wisdom, community, connection, friendship. it's a whole new way to get to know one another, because it is stuff that's not widely accepted yet, even though the people who are becoming more and more aware of it is growing. It's still not like entirely in the mainstream. So a cruise like this really allows that. And I want to say, for the people who register who are in my community, they're getting 2 bonus group sessions with me, where we're going to do some group work activations and energy work, and some really powerful channeling with the fleet and my collective, to get more
Mhm.
insights about what's going on, and about disclosure, because there's a lot about that, and how we're evolving and shifting, and how we're meant to adjust and adapt and grow and change as our consciousness expands, as we're shifting into new paradigm. But also, I want to say what I'm going to be offering on the cruise, that I'm hoping to be offering for the people who register with me, is a little special VIP group party. Even though the whole thing's a massive VIP event for everybody who's registered, for the people who register with me, I'm gonna do an extra VIP group special
Nice.
event. So I'm really excited about that.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah, do you
awesome.
want to say anything else about that Galactic
Yeah,
Origins cruise before you talk about
I'll
some of the—
say that like this is cool because not only, yes, again, conference we learned and everything you said, how powerful it's going to be, but it's also like a retreat. It's a life transformational retreat, right? Preparing a consciousness, going through a process, releasing things that we don't need anymore, working through our challenges together as a unit, and opening ourselves to more light so that we can be these beacons, because we are truly the way showers. And the way showers is a literal word that means that as other people are waking up, we're in the beginning phases to show the way and to be the teachers of the new paradigm. So this is kind of just like one of those events, but it's not just a 1 day workshop or a 3 day conference. It's a 7 day experience where you're around all these luminaries doing it. I'm just beyond excited to see what's going to be going down there. It's going to be really great. So hope to see some of you there. And galacticoriginscruise.com again. And when you on checkout, if you heard this here on Lori's podcast, just go ahead and select Lori's name on checkout so that we know how you heard about it.
Yeah. And also, one other thing I want to say about that I love about the fact that it's a 7 day, really, it is a transformational event. It's a retreat. It's so many elements of it. It's social, it's fun. It's learning, it's vacationing. But one of the
Mhm.
things that I love about the fact that it's 7 days is that it's going to be also highly experiential. Like, for example, my presentation, what I'm going to be offering is so highly experiential that I know it's not available out there, because I've been around. It's my unique service and contribution of what I'm here to offer, about how people can really start to access their unique divine connection with their source through the portal of the Sacred Heart Center. So very few people realize that the heart is a real portal. It's not woo woo, it's not crazy. There is literally energetic portal that
Mm.
allows us to, when we learn how to, not through the brain, but through direct experience, how to go through that Sacred Heart Center and unify with aspects of our own divinity, we can not only connect with extraterrestrial star family races, but we can also connect with our eternal ever being, our soul family lineage members, animals, and other beings who have crossed over or transitioned, our angelics, our own divine team, ascended masters, divine goddesses. These beings exist in other frequencies, just like you said. So they exist in the here now. And our job is to become vibrationally resonant with them. So that's one of the
Mhm.
things I'm going to be offering on the cruise, that I'm so excited, because through direct experience, there is nothing like direct experience that takes you from learning. And yes, learning's awesome, but you're still learning. Once you get direct experience, then you're knowing. There is
Yeah.
no more. It is beyond learning from the brain. It is direct experience, brings you into states of gnosis. And a cruise, like a 7 day cruise like this, where it's so rich, where we're being constantly surrounded by beings like one another in such a sacred community, sharing this knowledge, wisdom, and experience, it just amplifies everything. So, anyway, I'm just so
Yeah.
excited that you're putting it on, and so grateful to be part of it.
Me too.
Gonna be
Thank you.
fabulous. Yeah, say the website for that. It's Galactic Origins.
Galactic Origins Cruise .com. And I love what you said. Let me just say that, like, connecting to the heart and inner center, like the external world is also, to me, through quantum physics and science, are proven to be a reflection of the internal infinity. And that's why, like, we cannot have connection with all the things that you mentioned after the heart without connecting to our own self, without connecting to our own heart. So that is the premise, is creating a deeper connection and a knowing of self. And as we do that, we understand the bigger picture of the self within the cosmos and connect to everybody else as well. So just continuing that process, because we can't get to the next dimension with the baggage of this dimension, right? So part of this is going to definitely be going deep into that. So
Yeah,
thank you,
awesome.
Lori.
And
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be
link is
great.
also on my website at lorispagna.com as well, but it ultimately leads you to that link, Galactic Origins Cruise.com. So yeah, really excited.
Mhm.
Okay, so share some of the other amazing events coming up this year as
Sure.
well.
All right. So the big one that's coming up soon, September 26th weekend, 3-day conference in Glastonbury, England, in the United Kingdom. And that's our second annual event in Glastonbury, Portal to Ascension Glastonbury Conference. The website is ascensionglastonbury.com. And this one's really fun as well because it's actually the whole thing. Like, you could come and be there for 6 days and a part of the things that we're creating. Because on the first day, on the Thursday, we have a tour of Avalon of Glastonbury. And basically, there's a lot of stories of Glastonbury. If you guys don't know, the ley lines, the masculine feminine ley lines cross there. The Joseph of Arimathea, which is Yeshua's uncle, went and founded the first Christian church there before the Roman Empire hijacked Christianity. Mary Magdalene settled there. There's a huge divine feminine energy going on. King Arthur's grave with Guinevere's there. Like, it was the last stronghold of the Druids when the Romans were trying to take them out. So lots of amazing. It's basically like if Sedona and Mount Shasta had a baby, Glastonbury would come out. You know what I'm saying? And then that baby studied in London for a while.
I think Mount Shasta and Sedona are the baby of Glastonbury.
That could be, yeah, no, right? Original birth.
Which came
That's
first,
so
chicken
funny.
or egg?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So super metaphysical, crystal stores everywhere, right? And so we're doing a conference there. We're 2 minutes away from all the sacred sites by walk, literally in the middle. Like, you can go anywhere. And so obviously Portals Ascension conference, we do that every year, San Diego, and then here in Glastonbury now, is every topic. Our Portal to Ascension conference is combining all elements of Ascension into this one place. However, because we're in Glastonbury, there is a lot of information about ancient Druids, what happened to Christianity and the original text as well, Mary Magdalene lineage, so we'll have that there as well as space anomalies. We're going to be doing a deep dive onto Mars and showing you guys some pictures of Mars pyramids and structures there. You know, my presentation is going to be on a whole new world where we're going to break down the criminal justice system. We're going to break down medical industry. We're going to break down education and reconstruct it through my presentation in a way that what we can create from these things. So it's going to be great. The tour, the 3 days, post conference workshops, and then on Tuesday, if you want to stick around, we're doing stone circle tours of Avery. So we're going to go visit different stone circles with some of the foremost researchers of those areas and get presentations and lectures as we're traveling in a bus about the different areas you're going to be in.
Wow. All that in Glastonbury. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then you got Portal to Ascension in San Diego coming up,
Yeah.
right?
So next year, this year. So next year in 2025, I'm coming back to San Diego, and that's ascensionconference.com. We're producing that right now. So
Ah,
in
okay.
about 2 to 3 months, that will be launched as well. And I got a bigger venue this time. I'm I'm producing it way earlier than I was last time. So I'm really focusing on that because I want to make this. I lived in California most of my life. I want to make the California one work, successful, and very powerful. And the theme for that one is extraterrestrial life, UFOs, and consciousness. So that one we're going deeper into. We're not alone in the universe.
Very cool. And you do lots. I mean, I know we said this, but just it's not always just physical, even though what we love the
Yeah,
physical,
that's
but you do tons online, tons of conferences. You
Yeah,
mentioned
that's a small. The physical ones are a really small percentage of what we do. 80% plus percentage is actually online, and So the best way for anybody who wants to connect and know about what we're doing, go to portal2ascension.org and sign up there. And if you go to that website, you can just go to events and you can see our past events. You can sign up for our past events. We have hundreds of them sorted by category. We have a bunch of upcoming events. All of our upcoming events for the next year is on the website. And if you sign up to portal2ascension.org on the homepage, you get a username and password emailed to you, and you get access to hundreds of hours of free presentations. Our website, kind of our backend, is kind of like Netflix for consciousness presentations. So since we've been doing events since 2008, a lot of that content now is just available for free. So you can sign up, navigate through it. And what I really want to do, and I feel part of my mission, is to create a one-stop shop for consciousness, not only for people that are awake, that are looking to become teachers and learn this stuff, but also people that are waking up now, really having information from the beginning up until the higher levels, so that we can create a platform for the people feel seen, comfortable, safe, and also have one place they can go to really start unfolding all these hidden truths as these hidden truths start to become the normal reality on planet Earth.
You're definitely leaving a lasting legacy, which I know, like so many people in my community, that's so important to us, because in my community, people, we are so heart-centered, mission-driven, truly service-oriented light leaders who really want to make global impact and want to leave a lasting legacy. So you are doing that. And I just want to thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here. I got to just give you one other shout out too, because
Yeah.
there are so many times where you've just been, where I've been on Portal to Ascension, or just even if we were just texting, where you've just been so kind and loving to me. I'm just so grateful to you and for you. I think what you're doing is amazing. So
Thank you, Laura.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You already know, we speak about this often. You're one of the closest people to me. I really feel a huge love and connection to you. There's not too many people that you just feel really comfortable around, just like that. Like I work with a lot of people, but you're one of the people I just feel like I'm fully myself around, and I just love you, and words can't really express how grateful I am for the connection.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same way. I love you too. All right, Neil. So what is freedom to you? My last question.
Freedom. What is freedom to me? I would say, that's actually a huge question, right? Like going to different things, but I would say, like, if I was to bring it down to one thing, it would be a liberation from constructs that keep us enslaved in our own brain, in our own mind and soul. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. All right, Neil, thank you so much for being here. You guys check out Portal to Ascension. Join us for Portal to Ascension Cruise in December. And for now, we're going to sign off. I just want to thank you again, Neil, for being here, and say farewell for
Thank
now
you.
to all our amazing community members. We love you, and we'll see you next
Thank
time.
you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.